We have discovered so many scientific knowledge to find the truth of life, and we have invented many technologies to make our world better. But why can't we find the absolute truth about life? And why is the world still full of disharmony?
The answer to that is quite simple, and it has something to do with faith. Hey guys, welcome to the channel where science meets faith. Oh, and the faith I am referring here is the Christian's faith, by the way. Many scientists today claims that science isn't relevant with faith, since science is all about stuff that makes sense, unlike faith, which is just full of mystical belief. Right? 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 I mean, that's what they believe. I believe in something else. But that's gonna be a topic for another time. But is it true that faith is irrelevant to science? Well, if we are talking about the growth of science throughout history, then well, yeah, it is. And not just relevant, it really played a major role in helping science grow significantly and globally. Found it hard to believe me? Well, let's take it to history to prove their relationship. Not in a loving, sweet, romantic way. You know what I mean. First, let's start from the Christian missionaries. These missionaries went pretty much all over the world to preach the gospel to all humankind. Why is it such an important thing? Well, take the Vikings, for example. No, not this kind of Vikings from the TV show Vikings. They're too handsome to be portrayed as Vikings at those times. Change it. Ah, yes. This is the Vikings I meant. The Vikings were naturally barbarians, and they like to raid other villagers and their villages there. But thanks to the Christian missionaries that successfully made them believe in the gospel, the Vikings then got their point of view towards human life's value changed, thus making them from barbaric savages into a more civilized people. Now, it is due to this civilized status that made the Vikings able to grow their science and technology. So basically, Christian missionaries makes uncivilized people civilized, thus pushing their science to grow more significantly. But the Christian missionaries isn't the one making the most significant growth of science and technology in a global scale, but it does give birth to the trigger of something that makes science grow globally and significantly. After the widespread Christian missionaries forms a very dominant church in Europe, which is the Roman Catholic Church. And what I mean by dominant is very dominant throughout Europe that time. See, at that time, the Roman Catholic Church was pretty much like the ruler of the whole Europe. They rule almost everything, from how they, the people of Europe, should live, how much land it owned, until what they may learn. Yep, you heard me, what they may learn. And at that time, not only did the people of Europe were limited to what they can know from the Holy Bible, but also what they can learn about science. And any new scientific discovery needs to be approved by the Catholic leaders. If they refuse to believe it, they'll reject the discovery and ban it from being published to the public. Wow, right? And I should have been proving how the Christian faith should have been a major role in helping science grow significantly. Well, yeah, it did. Just not because of this one, but because of an event that took place shortly after that. An event which took place due to that too. See? Looks like it wasn't a waste for me to bring that up after all. And that event is, drumroll please, The Reformation! The Protestant Reformation, which is formed by Martin Luther, due to his disagreement and criticism towards the teachings of the Roman Catholic Church at that time. His ideology gave access to scientific research. Here's one proof I found from a history webpage. It says, to someone who said that it is not permissible for a Christian to use medicine, Luther replied oh my gosh, so hard, let me try that. Rhetorically. Yeah, that's the word. Do you eat when you are hungry? According to Andrew White, this attitude of Luther made the Protestant cities of Germany more ready than others to admit anatomical investigation and dissection. In other words, they may then research medical science without worrying any eternal punishment. And guess who made that person believed that it is not permissible for a Christian to use medicine? Yup, the Roman Catholic Church. Martin Luther also translated the Bible from Latin into German, a language that people can actually read and understand. Now, the truth from the Bible that Martin Luther has translated to German and made it possible to be translated to other languages has inspired many scientists to carry out their experiments to prove stuffs that can be proved from the Bible. The best example of this Reformation effect is one of the famous scientists, Isaac Newton, the guy who discovered gravity due to an apple, a falling apple. Newton was inspired by Martin Luther's ideology of demanding a constant process of interrogation and examination, and that seeking the truth by a mediator is not the ideal. Thus, Isaac Newton uses his scientific discoveries to prove God's majesty. In simplified, to prove how great God's creation of the world is. You see, Christian scientists believes that God created a rational world, not a mystical world. This gave rise to the possibilities of scientific laws to be discovered. So basically, scientists who are inspired by the Bible actually were motivated to carry out research and experiments to discover scientific knowledge of this world. Because from the Bible, they know that God created all things, including science and technology itself. Technology, because without God, we couldn't make the technologies we have just made. And thus it needs faith to discover science, not making science. What do I mean by discovering instead of making science? Well, for example, in the Bible, we can know that God created the first humans, Adam and Eve, not Steve. If we follow the story until the great flood that only leaves Abraham and his family alone in the world, and then they reproduce, yes, apparently incest wasn't an issue back then, to populate the world again, then we can see how this history matches some history that modern science believes today. They just don't believe in the Great Flood event. And so, if we believe what the Bible has to say about the history, then it means we discover science if we believe that the first human are Adam and Eve. Therefore, the whole evolution theory thingy is just making up science. It never existed in the real history of our world. Because we believe that the truth is that the first humans are indeed Adam and Eve. Humans that can talk, not monkeys or apes. The reason why people started making science is because people have started growing science without faith. They totally put faith aside, labeling it as irrelevant. It is ironic because it should have been like this. The more we discover scientifically, the more we go further to believe the idea that the universe is reflecting God's work. Okay, so to wrap things up in a nutshell, Science has grown significantly and globally due to its faith foundation. But over time, that foundation has been put aside and science has been growing without it, causing many scientific theories that confuses us today towards how we should view this life and our universe. Great! We have proven that the Christian faith has played a major role in the growth of science and technology, thanks to our trusted source, history. So what? Seriously, so what? Probably most of you will just do whatever you are going to do next without having a clue of what you just have watched, and you probably won't care anyways. But wait! There is actually one more aspect that affects the growth of science. And that aspect is an effect that is happening right now as we speak. An effect that makes a big impact over time, even though only little things are done. And the crucial fact here is, the one affecting the growth now is you. Yeah, you. Including me as well. All of us. You see, our moral values, point of view, and motivation are the ones that affects how science and technology will be grown and used throughout time in the society in the future. For example, an Xbox controller is used to play games. Of course, we all know that. But do you know that it can also be used to kill someone? If you know that your classmate is stupid, then you can either mock him or hurt his feelings, or you can help him to be a better person. And the only way to find the perfect, correct, most helping, life-saving moral value, point of view, and life motivation is no other than the Bible. Yes, I could guarantee you that if everyone lives by this book, then the world will be 100% harmonized and will be living in peace. And that, my friends, is how faith really plays a major role in the growth and use of science and technology.